Well, welcome back to the podcast. Are You a Caleb Leader this week? And so far, we've seen Caleb's faith. We've seen his courage to stand alone, his vision over fear, and his endurance through delay. And we've seen his strength, even at the grand old age of 85. But today, we come to the defining moment in his story because Caleb didn't just talk about faith, he acted on it. Our key scripture is Joshua 15:14, and it says, "From Hebron, Caleb drove out the three Anakites, the Sheshai, the Ammon, and the Talmai, the sons of Anak." And today's theme is simple, yet it's really powerful. Leaders conquer obstacles. Because true leadership is not just about what we believe, it's about what we are willing to step out and do. And Caleb had waited 45 years for the promise. And he had declared, "Give me this mountain." And now the moment had come. The land of Hebron, the very place filled with giants, was his inheritance. But receiving promise didn't mean the battle was over. It meant the battle was just about to begin because the land still had to be taken. The Anakim, the giants, were still there. And Caleb could have said, "God promised it, so it will just happen." But Caleb understood something really critical. You see, God's promises often require participation, and faith does not eliminate action, it demands it. So Caleb stepped forward and did what many others had been afraid to do. He confronted the giants, and the Bible tells us clearly that he drove them out. He'd not avoided them, he didn't negotiate with them, and he didn't delay the confrontation. He faced them and overcome them. One of the greatest gaps in leadership is the gap between belief and action. And many people believe the right things. They talk about vision, they talk and speak about faith. They agree with God's promises. But when it comes time to act, hesitation sets in. And Caleb shows us that leadership requires more than just agreement, it requires movement. And for 45 years, Caleb believed the promise. But at this moment, belief had to become action. He had to step into the land, he had to face resistance, and he had to fight the battle. And that is where many leaders struggle. Because action involves risk, and action involves uncertainty. See, action means stepping into the situation where the outcome is not fully visible. But Caleb didn't wait for the perfect conditions. He moved forward in faith. See, leadership is not about waiting until everything feels safe. It's about moving forward because you trust God. And faith is powerful. But faith that never moves becomes ineffective. Caleb's faith was not passive, it was active. So when he said, "Give me this mountain," he was not making a symbolic statement. He was committing to a real challenge. The giants he faced were the same giants that had caused fear for decades earlier. Nothing about the obstacle had changed. What changed was his willingness to confront it. And Caleb's courage was not the absence of difficulty. It was the decision to move forward despite it. And this is what separates Caleb leaders from others. They don't just believe possibilities, they pursue them. They take steps when others really hesitate, and they advance when others retreat, because they understand that faith is not proven in what we say, it's proven in what we do. And here is today's leadership lesson. Caleb leaders take territory others are afraid to claim. They go where others hesitate to go, and they face what others avoid. And they step into the challenges that seem too big for most people, not because they are fearless, but because they trust God more than they fear the obstacle. And Caleb leaders understand that the greatest rewards often lie on the other side of the greatest challenges. As we close this today's podcast, just take a moment to reflect. What moment and mountain is God calling you to take? And what challenge have you been avoiding? And what opportunity feels too big? And what step have you been delaying? See, the truth is, every leader will face mountains. The question is not whether they exist. The question is whether you will climb them. Caleb didn't just receive a promise, he acted on it. He faced the giants and he conquered the mountain. And in our final podcast, we will explore the lasting impact of Caleb's leadership, the legacy of a Caleb leader. Because what you conquer today shapes what you leave behind tomorrow. So until next time, keep asking yourself this question that we've asked all week. Are you becoming a Caleb leader?